The Consumer Counsel System of Maine is a mental health systemic advocacy organization that is a voice for individuals, primarily adults, who receive mental health services. The council was created as a result of the Augusta Mental Health Institute Consent Decree Plan of 2006 and was established into law by the Maine legislature in 2008. The staff and leadership consist exclusively of individuals with lived experience of mental health challenges. The bulk of CCSM's work happens at the local council level. It is here that true grassroots work is done. The councils meet on a monthly basis, and members discuss local and statewide issues, and talk about Maine's mental health system works and where its challenges are. Information from local councils is then funneled to the statewide Consumer Council, or the SCC. The SCC is CCSM's board of directors. The SCC is responsible for looking at recommendations from each local council, as well as issues brought forth in their own bi-monthly meetings, and CCSM subcommittee meetings. It is the job of the SCC to direct CCSM on projects and tasks it will take up. Any issues brought up at the local council or statewide council are also funneled through CCSM's Issue Statement Development Committee, which works to create recommendations and outcomes that are then sent to outside entities, such as the Office of Behavioral Health or DHHS, the legislature, other peer groups, service providers, and more. This is CCSM's way of collaborating with others and forming relationships that help foster change. In addition, the Council's Legislative Committee tracks and monitors bills introduced to the legislature that relate to mental health services, collaborates with legislators and other organizations that bring forth mental health legislations and bills, and assists peers in writing and providing legislative testimony. There are many ways CCSM collects information from the peer community and general community at large. Besides gathering information at local councils and subcommittee meetings, the CCSM holds forums and other events, participates in outside work groups, and has a mechanism to collect feedback online via their website and social media pages, Facebook and Twitter. Information is disseminated back and forth between the local councils, statewide consumer council, and the CCSM subcommittees on a regular basis. And this is how the work gets done.
Consumer. In this context, it's somebody who has received or is receiving mental health services in one form or another.
We're a group of folks with lived experience of mental health issues, and we act as a voice for our peers around the state in legislative matters and public policy.
For myself, I'm somebody who identifies easily, in public, that I have a mental health issue. To me, it's no different than if I had a cold. I don't care if they judge it or not. That's their issue, not mine.
I think everyone should have an option to have the services that they need. All are welcome here. Your voice matters just as much as mine or the next one, and you are welcome here, no matter who you are, what you are, or what you do.
I think that people forget that we're able and capable to make our own decisions and to advocate for ourselves. I'm just like everybody else. I just struggle time to time with anxiety or depression, and it doesn't mean that I'm not smart or I'm not able to communicate what I need or how I feel, and I think that's important for people to understand that.
It allows for people who have mental health experience to have a voice and to really come forward with that and to feel empowered.
Our goal is really to amplify the voice and the issues that we hear out in the community.
We have a legislative committee and an issue statement committee, and an issue statement is basically a white paper where we address an issue and give some recommendations and possible outcomes.
And how we do this is we start with a concept.
A lot of work's done at the local council level, is where our peers gather on a monthly basis in order to discuss issues, either statewide or local in their area, and how they want to proceed.
We have a chance for it to circle all the local councils, and they all send their feedback in.
And then that gets filtered up to our statewide Consumer Council, which is our board of directors, and then the issue statement, once it's approved, will be sent to the proper channels. There's a big saying in this community, nothing about us without us. One of my biggest fears of us not existing is that people would make the choices for us and not listen to our input about what works best for us.
If you aren't listening to the people on the ground, the people with lived experience, the actual experts, you end up just wasting a lot of money and resources.
That's their role. They were created by the legislature to inform the legislature and the executive branch. It's an incredibly important entity and important work that they do. And I'm just so proud to have been able to be part of it.
Right now in our community, the biggest issue is transportation.
There are many transportation issues because most people on fixed incomes, which most of the population that we work with are on, they can't afford transportation sometimes.
Housing has been the worst I've ever seen in my entire life.
Currently our jail system houses more people with mental health issues than any other place. And we could keep creating more and more beds, but if the more beds that we're creating, we're re-institutionalizing people. And that's not a way to solve mental health issues.
We really actively work on bills that deal with folks who are unhoused. We're always trying to provide solutions, especially to the Office of Behavioral Health and the Department of Health and Human Services, suggesting ways that they can be more helpful.
I find myself in a position where I'm mentoring others who are interested in using their voice.
I think a lot of the legislative work that we've done has had a great impact, educating people on how to be in the legislative process and to actually get to the State House and to testify.
Certainly having a bill pass is great, but most of the work is done behind closed doors in conversations with people who can make change. I just keep looking for those little moments where I can say something that might have impact, or I know somebody else who might have a story that might have impact.
We have testified on a lot of bills, and we don't always get our way, but the things that we really have an issue with, we're being heard, and they're actually paying attention to the things that we're saying, and that makes a big difference.
I think one of the biggest victories that the Consumer Council has is advertising that everyone's voice matters, not just at the town level, but at the state level.
You're welcome just as you are. However you present yourself, we want you as part of our community because it really matters.
We can come together to support one another. And when we come together to support one another, we're making the change in how the world will treat us.
If you are more interested in actually hearing the direct stories from people and some of the challenges that we're trying to overcome, then we'll gladly invite you to sit in on a meeting or send us an email or give us a call, whatever your preferred mode of communication is.
Just come and observe and see what's done, and then I think that people will get inspired and supported once they get there.
Any successful engagement in recovery work comes from being humble enough to know that the person sitting across from you is the actual expert. And when you can listen to them, that's where true healing happens and recovery starts.
There's a lot of changes that are coming, a lot of things that are in the process, and we're bringing back more people with lived experience.
The Consumer Council is a voice, an advocacy. They're charged with doing exactly that, and that's exactly what they do. I don't know where we'd be without them.